Hey there folks, I have a watercolor tutorial for you today. It's been a while, I know, but here we are. And I'm really rusty, so this is actually take 4. Not that you need to know that, but I just wanted to show you that you can really customize these things. Everyone will look different, right? So, you know, these two both have like a black line doodling thing going on. This one has a little bit more, and this one has none. So they also have different numbers of flowers. Doesn't matter. It's basically it's loosely based off of like a hollyhock flower, but I don't think this flower actually exists in nature. It might somewhere where I don't live, but I don't think it does. I don't think it comes naturally. But today we're going to be using a flat. This is a, oh, this has got to be a 1/2 inch flat. Yep. And if you want to know, it's a Creative Mark brush. It doesn't matter, just a 1/2 inch flat, and you want yours to come to a nice thin line. Alright? If yours doesn't come to a really thin line, then go with a round brush. It doesn't matter that much. And various colors of watercolor. I have mixed brands here, some Daniel Smith, some Winsor & Newton, and some Holbein, I think. So I will try to tell you what brand they are as well as what color name they are, so that you can do this whatever brand you have. So let's get started. These are on Canson, I believe. It feels like Canson. I pre-cut like a whole huge sheet to 4x6 so that I can just use a little piece of paper, maybe have some fun, and if it turns out great, I can make it into a card later. So I'm going to have a lot of these hollyhock cards, that's for sure. So first let's look at the, well, first let's do the background. You'd think I'd have this down pat by now, but no, let's do the background first. And I'm just going to, just like the width of my brush or so, wet the edge of the paper. And I don't know if you can hear any background noise or anything, but the dryer is running, and I think the washer is running, and things are happening. So with cellulose paper, lots of times you get like little spontaneous dry spots, so just go over it a couple different times. And let's go some yellow. This is Aurelian, Daniel Smith. Do whatever yellow you would like in your painting. It doesn't matter that much. And we're just going to lightly put it on the edge here so that it can wick out into that water that we put down. It shouldn't do any hard lines, but if it does, just go ahead with a clean brush and some water and just bring it out. My water is not all that clean anymore, but you'll see, you can do it. Okay, now while that's drying, we can actually do the middle part, and I'm going to imagine a line going down the center. You can do it off to the side if you want, but down the center is just fine. And I'm going to also imagine where I want my flowers that shoot off of that line. So I think I want one here. And I'm just going to put some water here in a roughly rounded square type shape. I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm going to put one here. Put one here. And put one here. You can have them touching if you want. It's a little bit more difficult to have it look like 2 different flowers. And now I have 4, and it's better to have an odd number of things, so I'm just going to go up here and put a little one. Okay, that looks good. Okay, right in the center of my water blobs there, I'm going to drop in some yellow. Just right in the center. It's going to bleed out pretty nicely. There we go. And then clean my brush off, and with some Quin Pink, which I believe is a Daniel Smith. A Daniel Smith color. I'm going to load up my brush here. And you want it fairly pigmented, but juicy enough that it can flow. Alright, so I got my brush loaded up with Quin Pink, and I'm going to go into Burnt Scarlet, which I think is also Quin color, but don't quote me on that. Daniel Smith probably too. And I'm just going to make a stamping motion around the outside of my puddle. And if you don't touch the water, you'll have a hard line, but it's okay. If your puddle has dried, you can wet it again. There we go. And I might have enough paint to do all of these on my brush, I don't know. These two puddles down here were touching. And as your paint runs out, you're going to have lighter and lighter flowers, which is kind of cool to have that variation. This one, my puddle's run dry, so I'm just going to make little lines in like that. I think that might look cool. And then this one. It is pretty dry here today, so I'm not surprised at all that my paint's run out, that my water dried up on me. There we go. Those are kind of flower-like, right? Let's do some leaves. Okay, so I'm going to be using some indigo and some of my Aurelian. The indigo, I believe, is Winsor & Newton. It's a very blue, dark blue color. Okay. And it makes a pretty nice green. I want it a little bit lighter than that though. There, that's good. Okay, and then I'm also going to make a pretty big puddle of sort of like a green biased yellow. Okay, so I want you to see. Here's my dark green and here is my light green. This is my big yellow pile that I just kind of plopped it in a color, a puddle of green that was already there. So here, I'm going to load up the brush with the yellow color, and I'm going to scoop up some of the green, and let's make some leaves. So these press and lift leaves that we're going to do, the part of your leaf that is the stem will always be the inside corner of your brush. So however you turn your paper, however you turn your brush, you're aiming with the inside corner. And of course the inside corner is the one closest to the flowers. So here we are, inside corner, close to the flowers. I'm going to press and lift. Pretty cool, huh? Let's do one over here. Press, lift. Okay, let's vary up our colors here. Let's scoop up some dark green and touch the indigo. Let's put one right here. Go ahead, turn the paper however you need to. Let's touch indigo again. It wasn't very dark. There we go. That's a nice dark leaf. Okay, so let's put in our stalk here. And like I said, remember the imaginary line going down? We can just go ahead and draw that right now. And you can do the stamping motion. I think it makes it look like there's like little tiny hairs coming off of the stalk, or you can drag it however you wish. Alright, and then we need to put some little tiny buds up here. I'm just smushing the corner of my brush. There we go. Let's scoop up some more paint. And we can put in some like branches. Let's put in a few down here. I think we need more leaves. Let's put in a like a little one there. Let's put some big ones down here. Touch the indigo again so you can get a nice dark one. I like it. This one's more sparse than the other ones that I did. It's always good for variety. Let's put in a few more of these, like lines or something. I don't know what they are, but they make it look like it's a little bit more full, I think. Okay. Not bad. Okay, so this needs to dry before we go on to the next step. Okay, it's dry, and it did warp a little bit, but just, you know, it's just paper. Now, you can leave it like this one. I think it looks kind of cool, kind of pop art, modern, retro. I don't, it looks modern, but also looks like retro. It looks like modern trying to be retro. That's what it looks like to me. Or you can do some dark ink. This is black ink. I think for this one, I am going to do sepia. Now, I can't find my fine liner in sepia, so we're going to go with medium. It's a little bit chunkier. We'll see how this looks. I don't know where all my pens went, but this is the only one I could find. So, let's zoom in a little bit because we're done painting. There we go. Now you can see my drawing a little bit better. Okay, so you can do whatever you want with this. You can doodle the heck out of it. You can just put in a few lines here and there. You can do what I did on this one and put some empty looking leaves. I think I'm going to do that because I think that looks really cool. This is kind of like a little technique that I recently did quilting, because I quilt now apparently, and I really like to do raw edge applique, and it's hard to draw and talk at the same time. And so this is kind of like the same technique where like these painted parts would be representative of the applique pieces, and then the lines would be the quilting, you know, what the thread's doing. So sometimes I will like outline an applique piece, do whatever decorative stuff inside that I need to do, like this. And then with the quilting, which is what you would do with the background, I would go off and do interesting things. Like putting in more leaves. And you wouldn't be able to see them quite the same way that you would be able to see the ones that obviously had been made out of fabric. Okay, so what I'm doing with these flowers, I probably should explain it to you, is I'm just doing a little wobbly, can you see that? Wobbly outline. And you know, you can change it up from flower to flower. With this one, maybe I'll do a wobbly spiral. That looks kind of cool. Maybe I'll do some radiating lines coming out. That looks interesting, doesn't it? That looks kind of cool. There we go. So with this one, it's just, you know, a wobbly line in the outside, wobbly line in the center, and a few lines coming out. Let's do another little one in here. Why not? And then let's do lines coming in. That looks cool too. I think I might like that even better than the ones coming out. So, you know, sky's the limit here. That one's a little bit like it doesn't know what it's doing, but it's okay. Let's put a leaf behind this one. That's cool. You don't have to outline every leaf. You don't have to you know, just fill up the space however you want. So there you go. Now don't forget to sign it because it turned out pretty great and you might want to send it out to somebody. Okay, so there is that tutorial. If you want to take a look at the other ones that I did, here's the one that doesn't have any drawing on it at all. And this one has a full cool border. And this one's kind of in between all of the ones that I've done so far. So, you know, I've got quite a stack here. It does not take long at all to paint, obviously. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you found it helpful. And as always, thanks for watching.